up, everyone? Welcome back to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. The gang is back together. Alex Shapiro, 𝗂𝗏𝗏, Ruthie Polinsky, all three of us, the three musketeers, are here for an episode of the Charter Podcast, breaking it all down for you. We were all out at practice at some point over the last few days. Alex and I at Family Fest yesterday. 𝗂𝗏𝗏 was at practice on Saturday. That was a big padded practice. I wasn't out there for that one, so interested to get your thoughts there. But the big headlines are just headlines, right? Like, I feel like we should just say that. I feel like this is where we have an opportunity to sort of dive into the nitty gritty, break it all down, let you know what we think about what we're seeing and how that may or may not compare to fan video getting relayed on Twitter that gets blown up and then talked about, which is fine. We love the fans, but like, you know, there's more to it. It's more to the story, I would say.
Yeah. And it's game week, baby. It's game week. We got a game this
goodness.
Even better than that, Clay.
What are we talking about here? Yes, it's a football
even better
game.
than it being game week is that it's joint practice week.
Oh,
which is my personal favorite day of training camp. Whenever the team I'm covering gets to do a joint practice, it is chef's kiss. And dare I say, Friday's joint practice with the Miami Dolphins will be considered the Ruthie Bowl.
The two teams you covered.
Listen, I'm just saying, it's not about me, but sometimes.
But it kind of is.
It always is. So, no, I'm just kidding. It's funny. Like,
it's the Ruthie Bowl.
Of the guys, other than Tua, like there's been so much Tua, Jalen Waddle. I covered Tyreek for a season, but like, there's so much turnover on that roster, which is always really interesting. And things are falling to pieces in Miami, it appears, the way I'm reading some of the beat writers that are some of my former colleagues. But we'll get into that later in the week. I think today we focus on the Chicago Bears as they get ready for this joint practice. It's an opportunity, guys, for them to go up against a team on Friday at that practice, because we know Miami likely won't play a lot of their starters. I imagine there's no reason for 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗂𝗏𝗏 to go get a singular rep in the preseason. But I will say, I think it's an opportunity this week for the Bears to really fine tune a lot of what they're doing and go up against guys like Tyreek Hill, guys like Micah Fitzpatrick, who's now a Dolphin. There are going to be a lot of talented players, a lot of personal challenges, regardless of where that team sits as a whole. It's a really cool opportunity to go up against someone other than yourself, and B, a team that has a lot of talented players. Whether or not they can put it all together is another story. So let's start with the Bears this weekend. Clay, Saturday, you were out there. Padded practice Saturday? Pads?
Yep.
Pads were on. Clay,
Yeah,
Alex, you were out there Saturday too.
Yeah, me and Alex both were out there on Saturday. I thought it was a solid practice. I think the defense and the offense both had some moments. I thought 𝗁cie, he took the reps with the ones, but I thought 𝗁cie got beat a couple times by Dio. I saw Dio pop a little bit, and I thought that was good and obviously and bad with 𝗁cie. But I mean, sometimes you're just gonna, get beat on your quarterback to get the ball out, things like that. I thought that Colson Loveland did a good job blocking. He looked good. He was mixing it up. He caught a couple balls. He was a guy that he caught a couple touchdowns. I thought he showed why he is going to be one of these mismatch guys. And I know right now the offense is looking a little bit all over the place, up and down, up and down. It's like it's making your head spin a little bit. But I think what you're doing, well, this is a fact. In all the teams I've played with, one of the benefits of playing with 13 teams, didn't play with 13, played with 5, is you get to experience a lot of different coaches. And a lot of it is all the same. You get a ton of volume in the playbook during preseason, during training camp, a ton of volume. And when you go to the preseason, you go to the regular season, now this game plan gets shrunk to something that's really tight and you can hone in on. We're going to get to the playmaker, get this ball to playmaker on this play, this play, this play. So I think holistically looking at this thing, when you see the offense have struggles in certain situations, I'm thinking that Ben Johnson is a guy that is going to know how to game plan specific things when he sees a specific defense, how to attack the weaknesses and keep the game plan tight, because I think at this point in his career, that's what Caleb needs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's been up and down. I was just kind of reviewing my notes from training camp practice 9, because it's hard to believe we've already done 10 training camp practices at this point. We're recording this on Monday when the Bears had a closed walkthrough. So day 11, we were not privy to. But, I mean, it's been up and down. Has there been progress? Yes. I mean, the first 2 practices, when they couldn't even get out of the huddle, they have moved beyond that, right? They are now getting to the line of scrimmage, which is an improvement. Are there still missed assignments, missed alignments?
Delay of games.
Delays of game, Ruthie. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm flipping ahead to Family Fest a little bit, but delay of games have still been an issue to the point where Ben Johnson, extremely frankly, said, these are mistakes that we are continuing to make. It's not like okay, you made this mistake once, clean it up, don't make the same mistake again. The mistakes are persistent. He went as far as to say, if they continue to persist, we will not win many games. So kind of sending a message to his players, clean it up. And is it time to panic? No. It's August 4th. It's August 4th. It's August 4th. But I'm sure the Bears want this stuff cleaned up sooner rather than later, right? If we are having this conversation 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, then all of a sudden we're panicking a little bit. So has there been improvement? Yes. Has the improvement come a long way? Are they still making a lot of mistakes? Also, yes. I forget what Ben Johnson said. The saturation level, they're filled to the brim with information. They're still installing the offense. But as the install slows down, as they finish the installs and they start honing, that's when we want to see the mistakes start to get cleaned up. So I'm going to, again, kind of parrot a little bit of what Clay was saying. We've seen some great moments. We've seen moments where Caleb Williams beats a blitz, where he evades a pass rusher, gets out of the pocket, and hits a big gain. We've seen walk-in touchdowns from 𝗏𝗏. The run game at times has looked really good. It just hasn't been consistent. And this is the time of the year when you're supposed to make mistakes, but they are making mistakes. And when Ben Johnson goes out of his way to say these are some repeat mistakes now, that's when it starts to ding a little bit for me. So is the defense playing lights out? Maybe. Or is the offense really that bad? Unclear. Don't know, right? These are the things we don't know. Dennis Allen has remained aggressive. He's thrown a ton at that offense, whether it's, AA mugs and crazy linebacker twists and the defensive backs and getting in on the play and all that stuff, right? All of that's happening. He's disguising coverages. So is it a situation where Dennis Allen's defense is really good, or is it a situation where the offense is really bad? All of this stuff remains to be sorted out. But we've seen highlight plays, and you've seen the videos from Family Fest of Colson Loveland having this awesome release off the line, getting wide open, and bang, it's a 2-minute drill touchdown. Yes, that happens. Yes, 𝗏𝗏 is getting open for walk-in touchdowns, but the operational stuff still needs to get better, quite simply. And operational stuff is important.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's been most discouraging to me is that, and Clay, I feel like you've touched on this a bunch, not just on the charter, but on the Big Pro Football Show about you have a menu of plays that are going to get run in practice, right? There is a menu that you're studying. You maybe went over and walked through the night before.
You're running a script. You're going through walkthroughs. You see the plays. Everybody gets a script. And there's call-up periods. There are some call-up periods, not all periods, but the majority of practice is actually a scripted practice. They're scripting the defense, they're scripting the offense. You know what you're getting as far as, at least on your side of the ball, what the play is. So you should have an idea of what your assignment is going to be. I would go in, I'd be a guy that studied the script. I know exactly what plays I'm probably going to get, what the 2 tight end sets are for me, and I'm going to make sure that those plays are perfect. Mm-hmm. So that is something that's concerning. When you're in these training camp situations that are scripted, you should have no errors. You should be able to get to the line. You know the checks. You know what to look for, and it should be bang, 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 bang. But I do know the Bears do got a young team that is learning a new offense as well.
Yeah, that's if we're going to spin this to the positive, I have been really encouraged by the young guys, Luther Burden, who we did our fair share of criticizing, but sort of highlighting, I guess, Ben Johnson's pressure he was putting on Luther Burden to get back and get caught up. It really feels like Luther Burden is ready for the moment, which I want to make sure that we're giving him his flowers, because our opinions change as we learn more about the players and we see more on the field. So I think that's been really encouraging. Colston Loveland obviously is someone who looks like he's been playing in the NFL for 3 years, 4 years. He's just really sort of, he blends right in, right? You don't look at him and think, oh, that guy's a rookie. Look at all the mistakes he's making. Like, he's just, it appears as though he's in his spots. He's, working with the other tight ends well. He looks like he belongs. And that's been really encouraging as well. Let's dive a little bit into the left tackle competition, which I think is really interesting now that 𝗂𝗏𝗻𝗃 has been dealing with an injury. He did not practice at Family Fest. He was in street clothes on the sideline, which I think is very telling. I also think there has been a little bit of solidification because of the consistency of seeing Ozzy Trapilo primarily with the ones. And they're all getting reps with the 1s, 2s, 3s. But I think seeing Ozzy start with the ones 2 days in a row tells you a lot. To me, I wonder, because Braxton Jones was so open and honest about sort of the mental part of coming back from an injury. I wonder if there's a little bit of just giving Ozzy sort of the experience that Braxton Jones has had, in his career. Like, let's get Ozzy those reps to really sort of like be able to measure them at an equal level. I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to wonder, because I do think there's sort of an understanding, guys, that Braxton's experience sets him ahead in this competition. Braxton is full go. He's part of the team drills. He's not really, it doesn't really appear he's in any sort of ramp up anymore. So the only reason I can really, the only conclusion I can draw from seeing Ozzy get the start with the ones the last 2 days is that they're trying to just sort of like level the playing field a bit, maybe, and so that they could eat. What do you guys think of that? I don't know. This is just me throwing the wall and seeing if it's
okay. It's a podcast. It's not TV.
I shouldn't say that. Well, this might air on TV.
It's a
Edgar
family
can bleep me out.
Oh wait, yeah, this does air on TV. Wait. Here's my thoughts, Ruthie, because I think there's something to that, right? Declan Doyle very clearly said this competition is not over.
Yeah.
On Saturday, because we watched Ozzy Trapilo take all the first team snaps on Saturday. So I internalize that as, okay, maybe it'll be a Braxton day on Sunday, and Braxton will get all those first team reps. And then we'll go from there. Maybe Karan's leg is better on Monday. He gets all the first team snaps. And now instead of swapping guys in period by period, which they had been doing, right? It would be like, here's an Ozzy Trapilo period. Here's a Braxton Jones period. Here's a 𝗂𝗏𝗻𝗃 period, all in one day of practice. Now, here's an Ozzy day. Here's a Braxton day. Here's a Karan day. But that did not happen, as you said, on Sunday. So that was the first time where I was like, interesting. It is Ozzy who is taking the majority. Now, he did not work all day with the ones, but he worked mostly with the ones. And then it was Braxton getting some work with the ones. So could it be a level playing field situation? Yeah, maybe. But we know that the Bears did self-scouting on Friday, right? The players had a day off. The coaches for sure didn't. And they were doing some self-scouting. They're looking, hey, where do we want to go as we wrap into this like second third, as we get ready for game week, as we get ready for preseason football, right? You're kind of turning away from that first stage of training camp to the second stage. And I do think it is a little bit telling that Ozzy got the majority of the snaps. Now, could this all change on Monday? Today's Monday, on Tuesday, and it's like, oh, well, we were all fools and we should have just listened to Declan Doyle. Yeah, I do think that's in the realm of possibility. But when you draft Ozzy Trapilo in the second round, high in the second round, pretty high, you probably want him to contribute sooner rather than later. It's not like this guy's a fourth round pick that you're working in. This is a pretty premier draft pick that you want to see what he can do, and you want to give him the opportunities. And if he's pressing you? Like at a certain point, they got to make this left tackle competition decision because you want, if Braxton Jones is going to be your swing tackle, start training Braxton Jones at right tackle at a certain point, right? At a certain point, you got to get him working over there. So I don't know. Is it definitely speculative a little bit at this point? But I think this is our first indication that maybe
speculative.
Definitely speculative.
Everything we say is speculative.
Right, exactly. But it's a first like real shift here.
Yeah.
It's a first real shift in terms of the snap count, and I can't help but make note of that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So firstly, I want to go back to what you were saying before we started the left tackle competition discussion here, and that is talking about the rookies. Yeah, I've been impressed with the rookies. Obviously, Colston. Me and Alex were sitting there like, wow, this guy can actually pass block. Like that's something that like Colston Loveland didn't get asked to do much at all in college. Run block, yes, but on pass plays, you obviously want Colston Loveland out. But that just shows you his versatility and the type of guy he is. He wants to be good at everything. He's not just a guy that wants to run out there, be pretty, play wide receiver. No, he's getting down and dirty. That's what a tight end's supposed to do. That's what I like. A guy that's going to block, pass block, run routes. He's doing it all, and he's showing he can be a red zone threat. Luther Burden, Ruthie, I said something on the Big Pro Football Show that got a lot of play. I said I wouldn't be surprised if Luther Burden would end up being the Bears' leading receiver this year. And I know it's early. We've only seen him for a few training camp practices. Haven't seen him against another team. But a lot of that was me speculating on how Ben Johnson loves to use a slot receiver. I'm saying if whoever wins that slot job, you look historically throughout Ben Johnson's offenses. In the last 3 years, Amon-Ra St. Brown has 340 catches. Yeah, that's over 100 catches a year. He has over almost 4,000. He's like 3,950 yards. So this guy is putting up some insane numbers. Ben loves to scheme the ball to the slot. You still got Jameson Williams on the outside who had 1,000 last year. So it's Sam Laporta who had 800 last year, 900 as a rookie. So you got some different guys that will get some plays and some numbers. But if Luther wins the slot job, that's why I think he's got the talent, the ability, the run after catch to where he could see some value in the targets. And I think the Bears will do some moving around. So that's what I meant about the Luther Burden thing. I'm not saying, this guy is way better than DJ Moore or Rome Odunze already as a rookie. I'm saying positionally, he could be in a good spot. As far as left tackle, quick, because you guys really made some good points, and I don't think there's a lot left to say about it. Tough for Karan. He impressed me. I said this guy's probably one of the most improved guys I've seen this year from what we saw last year. It looks like a real offensive tackle, an NFL offensive tackle. Karan Amagaji, I'm confident that he can become a guy like that. So I think it is down right now to Ozzy and Braxton, just partly because Karan's injured, and it's tough to miss time in training camp when you're in the midst of a battle like this, and you have a second-round pick, and you have an incumbent starter. Tough break. No pun intended. I don't mean to break anything, but you get it. So Ozzy has been getting the reps of the ones. I like his anchor. He's been pretty solid. He hasn't been great. I thought that Braxton, from what I've seen, and I don't got a pointer and a clicker watching the film, but with the naked eye, I thought Braxton has been playing better, which is something you'd expect. But I think maybe they think the ceiling for Ozzy, because this guy was literally in college a few months ago, is a little bit higher. And if they can coach him up, then I think he's going to be in a situation to where he can win the job. And here's something else we need to realize. The number 3 tackle in Ben Johnson's offense last year, Dan Skipper, had 323 snaps. Yeah, the third tackle, not the starting left, the starting right, the third tackle. They like getting an extra big boy on the field. So whoever doesn't start with Braxton or Ozzy, they will see the field. It's not like you're just going to be benched. So that's something else too. And I think, lastly, this competition is going to take a big swing. Friday, we start seeing one-on-ones against the Miami Dolphins. I mean, you got some big-time guys over Jalen Phillips, Chop Robinson had a great year. You're going to see Bradley Chubb out there, Kenneth Grant on the interior. So there's going to be some big-time pass rushers. If Ozzy Trapilo can block Chop Robinson, who came on really strong last year, if he can block Bradley Chubb, if you can see him consistent against those guys, that's huge for him. Braxton has played against these guys before, but now you're going to take a step up in intensity. You're going to take a step up in competition, and we're going to see how these guys perform when you're going against a different scheme and different players.
I think it's worth bringing up that Ozzy, you mentioned Clay has had a couple. It hasn't been linear for him. There have been some ups and downs. Yesterday was a tough day, right? And that may have played a part in why the offense in general had a tough day. If Caleb felt like guys were flying into his face. But again, you're playing football in the National Football League, and there are really good players on defense too. So I think, if Ozzy Trapilo is going up against Montez Sweat, 𝗨 𝗪𝗪, it's a great challenge for him in practice. And this is where he's going to get better and really get those like in-game reps in practice, which is great. And then again, obviously, of course, on Friday against the Dolphins. And I imagine Ozzy will get some preseason, whether Ben Johnson decides to play starters or not. I imagine the rookies, regardless of whether or not you're viewed as a starter, Colston Loveland, don't you want to see him in a preseason game? I mean, I don't know. Do you? That's a good question. Do you want to see Colston Loveland play on Friday? I mean, Sunday?
I want to see, I want to see the whole offense play. I mean, I want to see Joe Thuney, maybe not, but obviously if you got Caleb in there, I wouldn't mind seeing at least a couple series. I know you're doing the joint practices and you're going to get work in there from the joint practices. I wouldn't mind seeing him get some snaps. I mean, these reps are a lot different than the reps at practice. You're out there at House Hall, control environment. Now you're on the field. You're in front of the fans. It's different. Yeah. I know a lot of these guys have seen snaps in games before, but it's definitely something that prepares you for the speed of the regular season, gets your mind remembering, okay, this is what a game's like versus practice. Since it's been so long since Green Bay, the Bears won that game. So I think that I would like to see the starters play. I've always been a guy that's let's play 2 preseason games.
Agreed. Yeah. I think they've already opened the live tackling can of worms, right, at practice, which is a controversial thing, but we were all for live tackling at practice. I think it's along those lines, but for a different reason. If the operation was good, but it was like guys dropping balls or like maybe just barely overthrowing receivers, not on the same page with these guys, but overall the operation looks okay, then maybe you rest them. But we just spoke about how the operation needs work because you have guys with missed assignments on alignment. You have the checks issues, right? Where Ben Johnson says, yeah, he thought he saw something, so he made a check, and then he realized, oh, wait, I need to check back to that first play. The delay of games, since all of those issues are persisting, I think the Bears would benefit from those preseason series, those preseason reps to go through that operation, to get in the huddle, hear the play call with a crowd yelling, getting the play call back to the guys, and then, again, getting your alignments right, getting your motions right, getting your checks right, and then hopefully the execution follows after that. So I guess, again, to summarize, if the execution of the play was the only issue, like maybe hold them out. But since the operational stuff is still not there, throw them out there for a couple series. You've already done the live tackling. There's a lot here going on, and the Bears need work.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the offensive struggles. And again, we have to reemphasize that if the offense was firing on all cylinders and there were no mistakes being made and everything, they're moving down the field, you'd be like, oh my God, this defense might be so bad. But I think this is glass half full. Ruthie Polinsky reporting for duty saying the defense might be good. And I think that there are a lot of concerns about the pass rush. And Clay, I know you've had some concerns about 𝗨 𝗪𝗪. He hasn't really popped to you quite yet. But what are we learning about the defense with, by the way, no Jalen Johnson on the field? Yeah. And I think there's an element of, okay, let's take a look at, let me present the question to you both and say, what can we learn from the defense being ahead of the offense right now, which is typical of training camps all around the league? Are we able to take anything away from that? If so, what?
It's a good question. I think what we've been able to take away is some of the philosophies from Dennis Allen in terms of him being aggressive, right? I think that has been instantly noticeable. And you mentioned the concerns about the pass rush. Like, yeah, other than Montez Sweat, not a ton of defensive ends have made a lot of noise. I think it's also worth noting that Montez Sweat has looked like the Montez Sweat we saw in 2023. which is noticeable, right? Like sacks are weird in training camp because was that actually a sack? Would Caleb Williams have avoided that? You kind of go by what the coaches call. Do they call it a sack or do they let the play go on? It's still, there's a lot of gray area, but he's been disruptive. But without anybody else kind of chipping in too much outside of Montez Sweat, what have we seen? Dennis Allen's manufactured pass rush in other ways. So I think that is another key takeaway, you know? So one guy that's actually stood out to me who I would have never guessed, if we're talking about surprise guys who have caught my eye, especially recently, the past few practices, Noah Sewell. This is a guy in his third season, who has never been healthy, has hardly played, is finally healthy, looks like he's going to be the Sam linebacker, which is the position that Jack Sanborn played, right? We're all bemoaning, hey, what are they going to do without Jack Sanborn? I think Noah Sewell's actually played pretty well, but like getting Noah Sewell involved near the line of scrimmage, getting defensive backs involved in the line of scrimmage, things like that, you can kind of see, okay, this is how they're going to piecemeal it. This is how they're going to figure out a pass rush. Matt Eberflus figured that out. It took him a long time to figure that out. Alan Williams was so reluctant to blitz. Matt Eberflus got a little bit more aggressive as things went on because the pass rush was an issue. I think Dennis Allen's going to be even more aggressive than those guys were. So I think those are the takeaways. We're starting to get a feel of an identity. I have no idea what the identity of the offense is going to be yet. That is still super up for grabs, I think. I kind of am starting to have an idea of what the identity of this defense is going to be, though, which is going to be aggressive. It's going to be disguised. They're going to challenge you in different ways. They're going to be bringing heat in different ways. So I think those are kind of the key takeaways. Now, the run defense, it'll come down to the run defense, right? Is the run defense going to be more improved or less improved? It's been hard to tell. When the Pats came on, the run offense looked really good, which was almost like maybe the run defense isn't so great. But what do we see at Family Fest? Goal line stand, right? They give the ball to the ones on the 1 yard line. What happens? Shotgun run. Gervon Dexter stuffs him for a safety. So is it like, okay, was that Ben Johnson was very upset with the execution of that play? I bet Dennis Allen is stoked, though, that Gervon Dexter crashes through the line and gets the big safety that, you know, we've seen Andrew Billings crashing through for TFLs, that we've seen Montez Sweat. So there's obviously give or take there. But I guess the big takeaway is I'm starting to get a sense of the identity of this group.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfectly said, Alex. I think he causes some confusion. That's Dennis Allen with how he lines up. You're seeing a lot of the double A gap stuff, the double mug stuff, the linebackers up the line of scrimmage. You're seeing safeties up by the line of scrimmage. I mean, yesterday you saw the pass deflection, batted down ball by Kevin Byard, the free safety. Like there's different guys that are getting sent on blitzes, and he is manufacturing some pressure without maybe just like consistent edge rush. Everybody edge rush. I think Grady Jarrett is a guy that's going to have a big year. He still looks fast. He's full of energy. The guy's talking. He's bringing juice. He's quick, low center. And then Big Bill, I think those two guys are going to be able to help with stopping the run, right? So that's going to give them a better opportunity to rush the passer. And I think Dio, I was down on him earlier in camp, but he seems like he's coming on a little bit of late. He's starting to show up. He's starting to get pressure. You're starting to see some moves there. I still think you want to see something from Austin Booker, who hasn't consistently made a lot of plays out there. And that's something that a guy that I would like to see come around, because if you're going to be like a third pass rusher, you're going to need a lot of snaps. You know, they rotate these guys in and out. So you want to see a third and a fourth pass rusher kind of emerge and really start to have a bit of an impact on this defense. But with that defensive line, starting with the interior, I think that is going to be that big motor that runs a defense. Obviously, the defensive backfield without Jalen Johnson, we got that bomb dropped on us that Jalen, there's a scenario where he could be playing in week one. Wait, there's one? How many scenarios where he's not? So basically, I'm like, how much of the season is this guy going to miss?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit concerning, especially when you're playing your first two games against Minnesota and Detroit. And I know Jordan Addison probably won't play. We're assuming there's going to be some type of suspension handed down.
Jordan Addison. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, Jordan Addison won't play. Justin Jefferson has a hamstring, but Jordan Addison had a DUI, and we're expecting him to be suspended for the first few games. At least that's what people in the league are assuming. It hasn't happened yet, but there will be something handed down there. Justin Jefferson also has a strain in his hamstring. He's not practicing right now. They seem confident over in Minnesota that he will be ready for that game. But if you don't have Jalen Johnson, the one concerning thing is you can't really call the game the same way that you would call if you did, especially when you're running a lot of man-to-man stuff. If Justin Jefferson is healthy and playing, which we should assume that he is, it's probably good for him to get a little time off his legs, a player his caliber. So now you're playing with Nahshon Wright, maybe, Tyreek Stevenson, maybe, Terrell Smith. So these guys have looked solid in camp, especially Nahshon Wright, but they're not Jalen Johnson, and you would be missing one of the best players on your defense.
Good news is we haven't seen Jalen Johnson for since at all this training camp. He hasn't been out on the field, even just watching the sideline. We did see him yesterday at Family Fest, so that was encouraging. And obviously he was dialed in and locked in from the sideline. We were talking about, while we're on the subject of the defense and the pass rush. Mm-hmm. Do you think things are happening inside Halas Hall right now? Is Ryan Poles on the phone with Jerry Jones, or what's the son's name? Jonathan Jones?
Stephen Jones?
Stephen Jones, thank you. Jonathan Jones. Jonathan Kraft. Stephen Jones talking about what? Just out of curiosity. Stephen, I have a spoon. Stephen, Jerry, what would it cost to get Micah Parsons and make him a Chicago Bear? Do you think there's conversations are being had? Should they be being had? And what do you guys think that price is?
If I was the GM of the Chicago Bears, you better believe I'd pick up that phone. I mean, this is one of the best defensive players, if not the best, like top 3 defensive players in the NFL. He's incredibly good at football. Pick up the phone. I would pick up the phone and I would see what it takes. Now,
we don't know if Jerry or Steven would answer the phone, but
correct. But I'm going to call, and there's a very good chance that price is way, way, way too much. But you got to figure it out.
What's way too much?
Like 3 first-round picks.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's way too much.
Let's be realistic here, because you have to get someone's contract off the books, because you're going to have to trade for Micah Parsons and pay him. So right. You have to trade a player. I'm sure there are cap implications and all those sorts of things. But, I was talking with Clay and David about this. Would you trade
Cole Kmet? Would Cole Kmet get it done? I don't know. Like,
Cole Kmet and 2 firsts, Cole Kmet and a first, Cole Kmet and a first and a second, Jalen Johnson.
So here's where I'm at. What was the last one?
DJ Moore.
Ooh, see, exactly. Like, it's
going
to be an exorbitant price. This reminds me a lot, obviously, of the Khalil Mack situation, where, I mean, the parallels are there. Second year quarterback, first year head coach. Was the Khalil Mack trade Matt Nagy's first year, 2018? I believe it was. Trying to spark a thing. The Bears were not one player away then. I also do not believe the Bears are one player away now. So that is a reason why I would not make this deal. Why, it's like the Trey Hendrickson of it all, the Myles Garrett of it all. Like, the Bears are not one player away. However, I've
heard that a lot, Alex. I'm sorry to interrupt your point, but I've heard that a lot. They're not one player away. But like, they would be one player closer.
They would be.
And like, you don't have to be one player away. And he's 26. He's a child. So
not only is he 26, entering the prime of his career, I mean, we are talking about, again, a truly game-changing player. Like, this guy is crazy, crazy good in what he does. And he's not just – Khalil Mack was a defensive end. Micah Parsons ain't just a defensive end. This is a man you move anywhere on the field. We've just gotten done talking about how Dennis Allen loves disguising stuff, moving players around, right? The honey badger type player where honey badger played all over the secondary. Well, you could get a new weirdo type of honey badger in Micah Parsons who can line up anywhere in the front seven essentially and cause so much havoc, is so good that now you are talking about a serious offense. Micah Parsons, or defense rather, serious defense. Micah Parsons plus Montez Sweat, Micah Parsons plus anybody. I mean, he's a ridiculous player, and he's a player that makes you want to shell out a ton. So 2 firsts, a first and a DJ Moore. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to think about it, but Micah Parsons is one of those guys. You got to go down the road. You got to think about it. You got to say, okay, what are we comfortable with? And they should 1000% consider it, because every single NFL team right now should be considering how much is too much for Micah Parsons, because he makes literally every single NFL team better.
Yeah, he does do that. Guys, nobody can question Micah Parsons. I mean, the guy's been doing it over and over and over again for first 4 seasons. Probably one of the best first 4 seasons we've seen from a edge rusher in NFL history for a guy his age. I mean, it's been incredible. For the Bears, I'm not going to say the one player away thing, but when you're talking 2-3 first round picks, I think that's just too much for where this team is right now. You go back to what's something that makes a team bad, like the Bears have been over and over again. It's when you start giving up a lot of picks. I mean, go back to Justin Fields giving up a couple firsts. You go back to, obviously Khalil Mack. They had that big year, that big boost, but after that, kind of fell flat, and the Matt Nagy era didn't finish the way you wanted it to. Why? I mean, you're giving up picks. You're giving up all these picks, and it's not good for the longevity of your organization. If you really think in the next year, hey, we had a chance to make a run at this, yeah, let's do it. Let's really invest in our defense. Ton of salary cap space, but it's Micah Parsons. He's a guy that you could say is worth it, but you got to realize that you're probably done. You don't have much space right now. You'd have to work around some contracts. You're probably done for the next couple of years. And the stat that I really liked, because we've heard Ben Johnson talk about this, is the EPA per play, and just the difference from when he's on the field with the Cowboys. He missed 6 games last year, to when he's off the field with the Cowboys. So here you go, Alex. I know you love a good stat, math major over here. Actually, I don't think Alex
definitely not a math major.
But
broadcast and digital journalism, with an emphasis in sports.
Okay, not a math major, but I know he still likes a good stat. Across 1,039 play sample, the Dallas Cowboys over the last 4 years with Micah Parsons on the football field had the best defensive EPA per play. Ben Johnson talked about how much EPA is impressive. Across the same 1,039 play sample, without him on the field, they're the second worst defense over the same stretch in EPA per play. So that just shows you crazy. That just shows you how much this guy means to the team and to a defense. So if you really want your guy, a guy that's going to make a big difference, yes, it's Micah Parsons. I know I'm going back and forth on this saying, don't do it. He would be worth it. I don't think you have the cap. I don't think you're in the position to make a deal like that, to give away that, not really knowing what you have for the future, because you'd be investing a lot of your future capital into this guy. So for that reason, I'm out. I know we're not on the Shark Tank, but for that reason, I'm out.
Okay. I like it. It's a great conversation. I think it's worthy of having. I don't think Micah Parsons gets traded. I think this is all just politics of the NFL. But it is fun to think about. And 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗀 is really hoping that Micah Parsons does not get traded. I think that's for sure. We can guarantee that. I wanted to bring up one other player, guys, that I think was solidified as someone who is going to make the team, and going to be an impactful player in the fall. And that is from the words of Ben Johnson, who was asked about Kyle Manungai yesterday and talked about what he's seen from him. And there was a key phrase. I don't have it. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said he's going to have a role for us in the fall, or in some capacity sort of solidified that. I'll look that up a little bit while you guys talk about Kyle Manungai, because that to me was very telling. I think we've all seen it on the field. This guy is tough. He falls forward. Obviously he's learning. There was a little bit of an issue yesterday where he and Caleb went the same way and they ran into each other. Ben blamed that on Kyle Manungai, but obviously he's a rookie. He's learning. All those things are fine. The fact that Ben has spoken so highly of him while also throwing him under the bus yesterday, I think tells us a lot.
I agree. I think this guy could have a role. I went from a let's see kind of cautious approach to I have become more and more impressed and more optimistic about what Kyle Manungai can do for this team as the year's gone on. I know you two have been all in on him, and I was a little bit more cautious, but I'm hopping on the bandwagon to the point where it's like, again, we're a third away through this thing. But I'm at the point where I would no longer be surprised. I would not be surprised if come week 1, Kyle Manungai was your second running back behind DeAndre.
Real quick, Alex, what in that little break you just had?
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with where he's at. I think he's a guy that we're going to be able to trust this fall.
Yeah. And Richard Hightower, who spoke moments before we started recording this podcast at the podium, what does he say? He's calling out special teams guys. Travis Homer, a guy I can count on as a veteran. He knows exactly what he's doing. And then right next, he says Kyle Manungai also. So the special teams, big check, right? If you're going to be a back end of the roster guy, if you're going to be a rookie, if you're going to be a late draft pick and you want to make a roster, special teams, great way to do that. Seems like from Richard Hightower's press conference, that is coming along, which is very important. The pass pro has looked good. You know, that was something he showed at Rutgers with the pads on. I think it's been solid. And then again, with the pads on, the run game, as real as it can be outside of live tackling, there have been instances where the Bears need 4 yards, he gets 5. The Bears need 5, he gets 6. He's hit the hole well. He fights for the yardage. And then the last thing, and I think this might be a separator between him and Roschon Johnson. From my eyes, I think Kyle Manungai is better catching the ball out of the backfield. I think we've seen him catch a lot of passes in the flat, just working his way out, leaking out. We've seen him score touchdowns that way. I think the pass catching, there's a lot of upside there for Kyle Manungai. So I've been impressed. I've been impressed with the young man. Like I said, would not be surprised if by week 1 he is RB2.
Yeah, I think there's a real possibility for that. He's really good at lowering his pad level. He's good at driving his legs, getting some extra yards after contact. He's not a home run hitter by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a guy that could get you 5-10 yards. And here's something else he's good at. I feel like he's good at turning a negative play into a positive play, which, once again, we've heard Ben Johnson talk about EPA per play, and that has to do with staying ahead of the chains. It changes the way you can call a game. It keeps the playbook open to you, and Ben is a guy that likes to go for it on 4th down. So when you got a guy that is going to get you 2 yards instead of maybe, I'm not trying to shade DeAndre Swift, might lose a few yards because he likes to go a little bit of east and west. Kyle Manungai is a north and south guy, can break tackles, keep the legs moving. Yeah, I think he's a solid receiver out of the backfield. He had a couple of drops here and there, a couple bobbles, but I think he's a natural guy that can catch the ball, natural hands. And Alex alluded to it. He's not afraid of contact. A lot of the running backs in the game, when you have a middle linebacker blitzing in that A gap, it's tough to really just bow up, come, put your face mask in the middle of this guy's chest and stop the blitz. And Kyle Manungai is a guy that can do that. And that's it's impressive to see for a rookie, and I think he'll have his opportunity, and he's another one of these guys that come joint practices, come the preseason games, you're going to probably see a lot of Kyle Manungai because he's a rookie 7th rounder. He's going to get a lot of tick. He's not going to be a guy that's sitting out any of these games. Might not see DeAndre Swift. We're going to see Roschon Johnson. We're going to see Kyle Manungai, who's breaking tackles, who's keeping the chains moving. So I think this competition is going to go on through preseason to see who can be that number 2 running back.
It's exciting. And also, I mean, we're a little biased because we had him on our show, but just a true pro. Another guy that Clay that I felt from the beginning just sort of blended in. Like
Matters to him.
Like
Matters
he
to him.
belongs.
You can tell.
Matters to him. My favorite stat is the one that you love too from his college career: no fumbles, 0, and 4 years, 5 years. 4 years at Rutgers, team captain, just a stand-up guy. Everyone's raving about him. And then the other thing, guys, real quick, I want to talk about, we have just a couple minutes here, but why is DJ Moore playing running back?
I'm so glad you brought this up. I've been tinkering around with this in my head. I'm just going to hard launch this take right now. And this is for sure a take. Like, let me couch that. This whole offseason, ever since Ben Johnson has been hired, we've been asking the question, who is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is it going to be DJ Moore? Is it going to be Luther Burden? Is it going to be Colston Loveland? I don't know that DJ Moore is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know that anybody is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. What if DJ Moore is your Deebo Samuel? What if Ben Johnson, building a new offense around his personnel, building a new offense around Caleb Williams, is looking at DJ Moore, his number one receiver, is looking at a guy who is actually pretty good with the end arounds and the screen game and just get the ball in his hands and get him some blockers in front, and he hits home runs? What if he's like, hey, let's make this guy Deebo? We're not trying to find Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're trying to find the best things for our guys. I don't know. The cynical part of me wants to say they're showing us that a lot because they want us to talk about it. And there's some ulterior motive. That's an extremely cynical way of viewing it, right? That's an extremely cynical way of viewing it. But the more I look at it, the more it looks good. It just looks good and it works. And you get DJ Moore the ball with blockers in front, and good things typically happen. And that's what we've seen.
Yeah, I think – oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I think Ben Johnson's intelligent, obviously, and when you have a personnel grouping and maybe you go out there and it looks like a 5 wide, next thing you know, DJ Moore's in the backfield and you have a bunch of defensive backs on the field, and DJ Moore's a guy that can run the ball like a linebacker. Yeah, you're calling plays to your personnel. DJ Moore is a guy that's not a super tall, lanky receiver. He's a guy that can get his pad level low, and we've seen what he can do when the ball is in his hands. So just another weapon, just like 2 tight ends. Now you can just mess with these personnel groupings. You can get a playmaker the ball. You keep DJ happy. These guys on a $100 million contract, and he is willing to do it. I don't think they're doing it just for fun. I think there's a serious thing here that we're going to see a few carries out of DJ Moore in specific personnel groupings whenever Ben will be looking at a team and says, okay, they line up like this to 5 wide or 4 wide in a tight end, and now we can put DJ in. He's in the backfield, and now we have the advantage.
It's something to monitor, right? The Bears are better when the ball's in the hands of DJ Moore. That's all I gotta say. Let's wrap this thing up, guys, and we'll be back here later this week to talk more Bears training camp. Really excited about Dolphins coming to town. We'll be able to break all that down a little bit more later this week. So with that, thank you so much for listening to the Charter Podcast, brought to you by St. Xavier University. Have a great week.